Good. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right.
How you doing? Good to see you.
Welcome everyone to the May 1st meeting. May Day in Elkton, Maryland. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of April 17th?
So moved, sir.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Financial report and payment of the bills.
So moved.
We have a motion. We have a second. And we have a second. Any discussion on the financial report? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Lou, you are on.
First item I have is Proclamation 5-2019, Kids to Park Day. Whereas the National Park Trust, a nonprofit organization dedicated to preserving parks today and creating park stewards for tomorrow, has designated May 18, 2019 as the 9th Annual National Kids to Parks Day. Whereas National Kids to Parks Day empowers and encourages children and their families to get outdoors and to visit parks and open spaces, broadening their appreciation of nature's beauty and diversity. Whereas it's important to introduce children to our national and local parks and to encourage their exploration of these natural wonders while providing a pathway to lead more active lifestyles, reducing childhood obesity, and many other conditions that often accompany an inactive lifestyle. And whereas the National Kids to Parks Day is an invitation to both children and adults to participate in this special day, opening a horizon full of interesting things to see, to experience, and to capture, and to put away their cell phones. Now, therefore, the Mayor and Commissioners of the Town of Elkton do hereby proclaim May 18th as Kids to Park Day.
We have a motion to accept Proclamation P5, 2019, Kids to Parks Day.
So motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the proclamation? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
The next proclamation, 6, P6, 2019 Tourism Month. Whereas the tourism industry in Elkton, Cecil County, and the state of Maryland is vital to our economic stability and growth and contributes to the quality of life for all citizens. And whereas every citizen benefits from our tourism assets and the revenue generated by tourism dollars. And whereas tourism generates millions of dollars in revenue, more than 2,300 jobs in Cecil County, and $23 million in state and local taxes. And whereas tourism revenue is generated without expense of providing services, resulting in reduction of the burden placed on taxpayers. And whereas I call upon all citizens of Elkton to take pride in our town and our county tourism attractions and celebrate this significant and positive impact that tourism has on all of us. Now therefore, the Mayor and Commissioner of the Town of Elkton do hereby proclaim the month of May 2019 as Tourism Month.
We have a motion to accept Proclamation P6, 2019, Tourism Month.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the proclamation? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, the next I have ordinance 2-2019 for introduction. This ordinance pertains to Chapter 1304 Water Service System, particularly to major facility charges. Currently, the major facility charges are waived, and they're waived from the period through the period September 1st, 2017 to an expiring August 31st, 2019. This amendment will change that period to June 4th, 2019 through an expiring May 31st, 2022. In addition, the amendments to this ordinance will provide for a front-foot waiver of all charges for a period expiring also running from June 4, 2019 through and expiring also on May 31st, 2022, consistent with the previous expiration and for a waiver of major facility charges. This is presented for introduction.
We have a motion to approve or accept ordinance 2-2019, amending the code of the Town of Elkton in regards to major facility charges, front foot assessment charges, extension of the waivers, and this is being presented for introduction only.
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
And a second. Any discussion on this introduction of this ordinance? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item I have is ordinance 1-2019. This was introduced at the last meeting and is presented tonight for adoption. It's a rather lengthy ordinance, but best way I can summarize it is these are provisions that are put in our ordinances that prohibit illicit discharges to the stormwater system. In other words, people cannot discharge anything but stormwater to a stormwater drainage system. This ordinance provides all those circumstances under which the Clean Water Act applies to the town of Elkton and, of course, all the residents that are affected by stormwater. I would suggest that the board adopt this. Ordinance 1-2019.
We have a motion to accept ordinance 1-2019, which would amend the code of the town of Elkton for stormwater drainage systems, and we are presenting this for adoption. We have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Real quickly, we currently have a lot of homes in the town of Elkton that is taking, I'm going to say some of their basement storm water or surface water, and they're sending it through their, I guess I could say their sump pump, and the sump pump is sending it through, in some cases, their sewer system.
This doesn't prohibit that into the sewer system. This prohibits into the storm.
Into the stormwater.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
The last thing I have is Selco partnership lease. The town has leased the property at Blue Wall Road, actually Blue Wall Road, Porter Tower, for a number of years to Selco partnership. And initially it was with a company called Selco Partnership, but they were doing business as Bell Atlantic Remote. That company was succeeded by another company called Verizon Wireless. The company, Selco, contacted me several months ago and wanted to extend the lease agreement with the town for maintaining their equipment on the tower. They sent me an amendment and boils down to they wanted to provide, we have a certain amount we charge them on 5-year increments. They wanted to do the amendment to provide a 10% increase for each 5-year amendment. However, the language in the original agreement with NYNEX actually provided for a 20% increase for each 5-year increment. So I told them that we wouldn't accept anything less than that, or in essence, they would have to remove their equipment. And I emphasized the tremendous amount of money they had invested out there, so they conceded and agreed to the 20% increase.
Thank you.
So I would ask the board to accept it. I think you all have to give them a copy of this. And we made quite a bit of money from Verizon Wireless on this tank. And we also get money, actually slightly more money from the Verizon Wireless for the Bell Hill Tower. And this money goes into our water fund. I would recommend that the board accept this amendment.
We have a motion to accept the agreement with Selco Partnership, DBA as Verizon Wireless.
Also move.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion in regards to this lease agreement? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Just to emphasize, I think we get around $24,000 annually. Currently, $24,883. And when the first part in January 1st, 2022, when the first of 5-year increments starts, we get $29,860. After that, it goes to $35,832, $42,998, up to $51,598 for this 5 periods. So that's a pretty lucrative income from some space on the tower.
I wish it was
They're
going,
having pain up there.
I wish it was going into the general fund.
That's the word fun.
All right, I have nothing new to report this evening. Jean, would you have anything to report this evening?
The only thing I had a question about it being First Friday coming up, is there gonna be music? Anybody know?
At Maryland Beer Company, there will be.
At the Maryland Beer Company, it will be. Okay, that's good. I was just curious, Rob, do you know, or?
I think Larry Kraus is going to be talking
Oh,
about
we're
it.
gonna do a oh, I'm sorry.
I think when he comes
You are,
up,
but, okay.
he'll be telling us,
All
I think, a little
right,
bit about it.
forget that then. The only other thing I was curious about is, several months ago, we were talking about space for our departments. And like, who needs more space now, who predicts they might need more space in the future? And I was wondering if we had done any movement on that.
We're peeling back our personnel so that space may not be necessary at this point in time.
Well, that's true, but I'm looking more like maybe even a 5 to 10 year span here, because if we were, just for example, if we were to take possession of the armory, it would be nice to know if that's designated space that we're going to need for the future, or could be designated space for something entirely different. I just want to make sure that we're all taken care of here over the next several years, so. I just hadn't heard anything on that.
I'm not sure how to address that space issue,
I don't know.
given our, our plan, long-term plan to peel back our
Well,
government.
I would say that we'll address that shortly.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Nothing further.
Charles?
No, but to add on to what Gene said, I know the chief said that going forward, that he's gonna need space. I mean, even though it has not been indicated at this point, that's consideration. And, anytime you're going forward, you gotta think about that, because the department grows and things change, but, like Rob said, we can talk about that. The only thing I need, Dan Hanley, Gilpin Manor is gonna have, their play day on May 30th, is on a Friday. And this is their first opportunity, I guess, to have that there in a new facility. And they want to know if the town could loan them or help them with 5 trash cans or the, what's called, push carts to put the trash in.
I think we come up with something.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we have some.
Thank you, Earl.
I just have one reminder, dance recital at High Street this Saturday and Sunday, the 4th and the 5th, for the Parks and Rec. That's all I have.
And I'd like to mention the opening of Brentwood Park on Sunday. They're going to be opening at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, they have a whole schedule for what they're gonna do, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I know that on Friday I will not be able to attend, but I know that there's a ribbon cutting and there's a grand opening at the Old Jokers pub, and to the life of me, I can't think of their J.J. Foe. And my understanding it's kind of a Vietnamese noodle, and I don't know if anyone's stopped in there yet, but they did a wonderful job of on the exterior, and I'm looking forward to going in the inside, but I haven't gone yet.
Steve and I stopped by to welcome them, and they were very nice people, and very conscientious about being a member of the business community.
Very good, and I know one thing that I also forgot to mention was that the demolition of the George's Motel happened this past week, and I think that that's going to spur on hopefully some exciting things on to help out on the west part of town. Fingers crossed that there'll be some action down there. I wanted to mention, we were just talking a little bit about space, and I'll start rambling on here a little bit. But I think that going into this budget year, and I really don't want to get onto the budget now. We're going to talk about that a little bit more as we get closer. But We haven't had really any significant growth to the town of Elkton since, I would say, the addition of Patriots Glen back when it finished up in 2002, 2003 with the 400 homes. Any type of amount of houses or residential into the town. So I think what we've been able to do through the course of the tax base is adjusting the tax base to where it's made up additional revenues for carrying the costs of the town. Because I think, as we all know, with if you have the same amount of personnel just through years of staying, everything's going to increase. Everything increases, costs increase. So I just wanted to kind of put that in everyone's ear a little bit, that we just haven't had the growth or the taxable assessment base that it would be nice to have. I think everything started kind of going the wrong way with our assessable base in 2008 and 2009 with the with what was going on, of course, with the mortgage market and so forth. And it really took a dive here in Elkton, and quite frankly, we're not back yet. I can tell the board that there's finally some good action starting to happen, in my view, with some residential parcels. But saying that, we are still 3, 4, maybe even 5 years out by the time they go through the planning process, putting the infrastructure in, starting to build the houses and the lots. So going back to your space needs, until we are able to increase that assessable base, in my opinion, without raising taxes, it's going to be very difficult to do a lot of these things. So I just wanted to prime the pump a little bit with where I'm going at here. I also wanted to mention, and thank you, Commissioner Piner, Arby's is open. If anyone hasn't made it over to Arby's yet, off of Whitehall Road and Route 40, very good. Looking forward to going there myself. So we have.
Ross was there, he sent us an email.
I took the sacrifice to test that. So
Perfect. It's so there is some changeover of some of our businesses, and we've had some added businesses, but we haven't had the impact of a large amount into the general fund.
Yeah.
So with that, this is the time we open up the floor for the public if they have anything to say this evening. Mr. Larry Kraus, come on down. I know you were wanting to give us an update on what's happening with downtown. I think you had a couple questions, comments, and
I do.
requests.
Sorry, Larry. I thought you were here, and then I didn't see you. You were just perfectly blocked. I didn't see you there.
Well,
Scott has a big head.
I'm Larry Kraus, I'm the chair of the Elkton Alliance. So I'm here in behalf of the Elkton Alliance to ask a few questions and see if we can get some approvals or at least some talk about it. So let's see where we're going to start here. So to answer your question about the music on Main or for Friday nights, it starts in June. That's going to be the first one, every first Friday from June. June, July, August, into September. Okay? So, June 7th, the first Friday of June, we're going to do, and this is all new events that the Elkton Alliance and their board have come up with to try to bring more people into town. And not only more people, but different kinds of people and community and kids, if you will. So June 7th, we're proposing to do a jump into June, okay? That's hosted by the Kiddie Academy. This year, we've gotten sponsors for First Fridays. So by doing that, it allows us to bring, again, different people down. So we have it's hosted by the Kiddie Academy, and it's featuring Jack Waracre, the puppet show, got Kona Ice coming down. We're doing a lot of crafts and stuff for the kids. So what we're asking is, we'd like to propose closing the street for us on the first Friday. Every first Friday, we're asking to close the street from June 7th, July 5th, August 2nd, and September 6th, only on first Fridays. And what we're proposing is to perhaps close, a portion of Main Street to Bow Street, or close North Street to, all the way to Main Street. Now, the problem with North Street to Main Street is we have to seek your approval and then go to the state to have their approval, the state highway to get their approval to close that. And they require X amount of time, but we have to have the approval for you folks first before we can do that. So again, the other options would be, closing, from Bow Street, because the town owns, if I'm correct, the town owns from Bow Street, owns the Main Street. So we're able to close from Bow Street up to North Street. And we want to put, again, the jump into June, we want to put bouncies and kids craft things and whatnot, hosted by the Kitty Academy again, up and down that street, is what we're looking to do. Close that street for the first Friday.
Does that mean you'll still have traffic coming down north and making that left?
That's correct. If we close the Main Street section, that's correct. Now, I can't, it's too late for us to even worry about closing North Street to High Street, or Main Street to High Street on North Street.
Really?
Because of the state. We passed our deadline in order for us to apply for that,
What's the deadline?
90 days. So we can't do that for June. So we're looking to try to do that, for August, September. We can't do that for June. So we're asking for June, we're asking to try to close, can we close a portion of Main Street for June, for the first Friday of June?
What's the time frame on
The
that?
time frame for that, we would be asking to close that from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m.
I just
That's
noticed.
what every first Friday's functions are 5 p.m. to 8 p.m.
So from Bow Street to
Yes.
North Street,
That's
up
correct.
North Street to High Street.
No, just Bow Street to North Street.
That's it?
On Main Street, yeah, that's it, for the June.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for supporting any way we can, but is there, you want to be able to close down part of Main Street, or you just want a location?
We would like to close that part of Main Street, or if we can't close the entire Main Street, meaning from the pizza shop to Minnie Haynes.
Right.
If we can't close the whole thing, and maybe it's better fit that we close it from the entrance of the municipal parking lot to Minnie Haynes. We're trying to put all this stuff in the street for the kids.
In the street,
Is what
okay.
we're
I
trying
was
to
just
do.
thinking, just for June, if you could just use the municipal parking lot. Would that be safer for kids, to have that whole lot?
At the same time, we're trying to
I know.
encourage that into First Friday.
Yeah,
So it's not only, this is the event that we're doing in the street for the kids,
right,
but we're also trying to bring the families down and allow them to go from restaurant to restaurant,
Right.
to retail to retail,
yeah.
to be able to do that as well. So we don't, we would take whatever the town gives us, but we'd rather see it out in front.
So where that closure is going to occur, that's is specifically where you're going to put the kids' activities?
That's correct.
So they will have that all to
That's
themselves?
correct.
Right. But we'll have a detour, I guess, like if you're coming down Main Street, you'll have to detour left or right
That's correct.
at Bow,
Yes.
and go behind the buildings or up by the hospital.
That's what we're asking for.
That would work, I mean, personally, as long as we're not closing it down at Bridge Street. Because the one thing that always has not set well with me is whenever we have activities in town, like the car show, we're always closing off the municipal parking lot. And until we can get another access into it or something, I really think it's workable. You know, that if somebody's standing at the corner of Bow and Main at the pizza shop, directing traffic, not letting them in, why can't they just go up several feet and direct traffic in and out of the municipal parking lot? Just so that people, when they come into town, they feel welcomed. They don't feel like they've got to park, 2 blocks down around the corner, from where they're trying to get to. It's just a personal
And I
pet peeve
agree,
with
I mean,
me.
I don't disagree with you. I
Yeah.
know that we are trying to grow the car shows, to
Right.
bring different I know
Right.
that and we're incorporating different kind of music into the car shows.
Right.
So perhaps going forward, maybe, you know, and it's weather permitting, we don't.
Yeah. You're only gonna-
If we
you're
get a cloudy day, we don't have as many cars, I don't see
Right.
why we can't move that barricade up to
Just
the
move it
municipal
up a little,
line.
you're only gonna lose about 5 spaces probably at the
Well,
most,
you
right?
lose each side of the road.
Actually, at the last car show, I believe the municipal park was open.
Yeah.
So,
How did it get open? Oh, you know why? Because North Street was open, right?
no, what they did is they
Yes,
moved the
it
barrier down to where.
Yeah, down.
They moved it down to where you could turn right past North Street
And go
Hotel
in.
and go into the
Yeah,
municipal
but
park.
that-
What we're actually.
This was the first time they
What
did
we're
it.
trying to do, we're trying to push more down Main Street. We would like
Okay.
to push more towards the arts, you know, we have some more businesses that are down that way.
Right.
So we're trying to get cars to go further down, so people go further down and see where other retail stores are.
Well, that's true, that's true. Well, personally, I'll support whatever you need
So, well, thank
to
you.
get it done.
That's what we're trying to do for June 6th, or June 7th.
Okay.
Now,
How does the rest of the board feel about June 7th? Chief, was there any issues with that section of Main Street?
Nah, I spoke with Larry this afternoon, kind of briefly, and we don't see any problem with it. Where would you prefer to have this? Would you prefer to have North Street closed?
well, I think that's the only option we can do is Main Street due to the state.
We don't know anybody?
Well,
I mean, we would prefer, to be honest with you, we would really like to have North Street. That's where we'd really like to have at the Alliance office
Yeah, be
and
perfect.
down towards, you know, North Street Hotel that way.
But you have a lot of banking activity going on Fridays.
What's that?
Banking activities going on Friday.
Yeah, there is.
Well, one of the
But we-
concerns-
Well, if you close, if we were able to close it from where, where you turn into, turn into North Street Bar, there, up to Main Street, that section, if that section was closed, that wouldn't cause any issues.
That would not cause any issues. That would be a help.
Would it be enough?
They can move right.
You know, at this point, you know, I don't know if it would be enough, it would be a start.
Yeah, they would go past
I meant for June.
North Street, and then they could go through the
That-
parking lot, and then they can
That
come right
would
up
work
Main
very
Street.
well if that was for June for the kids.
I prefer Main Street not to be closed.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm kind of okay with the North Street section.
Well, I'm not aware that, you know, perhaps you guys, you know, folks can get to the state and see if we can get that amended and get it closed, and that'd be great. But, you know, I'm going on the assumption that we can't due to the deadline. So if we
Well,
can, that'd
maybe
be great.
someone from staff can make a phone call tomorrow. Chief will make a phone call.
Thank you. So, now, July 5th, you know, it's the Red, White, and Brew, okay? It's a different sponsor that, and August 2nd, we're having Corn Fest. That's going to be hosted by the Elkton Rotary. It's a cornhole tournament. So we're still looking, again, for the the North Street section to be closed. And September 6th is hosted by Tidewater, which is going to be the Artitude. So again, that's what we're looking to close that again. Now,
I think it makes more sense to close that little section than any section.
I appreciate it, that's what we're trying to do. So, also, for these events, and not so much on the June 7th, but we're also asking for an alcohol waiver, to be able to, the patrons be able to carry their alcohol from establishment to establishment in a cup, if that's a possibility.
That's on what date?
July 5th, August
July
2nd.
you're asking.
June 7th, July 5th, August 2nd, and September 6th.
So you asking for conglomeration, I don't have to, which is,
Yeah, we're asking for an alcohol waiver for that as well, to be able to carry. I did speak to the chief earlier today. In the past, we have not requested police presence down there, but it certainly would be a help if we could have, you know, police presence always helps. Especially, you know, not that we've ever had any problems with alcohol or anything like that. It's always, the presence seems to keep everything nice and calm.
Very good. Anything else?
Right, one more thing I have here. June 15th, brand new thing that the Alliance is going to do this year. It's called the Dinner Theater Under the Stars. That will be the last date that I know of that we would please request to have North Street closed one more time. And this is going to be a restaurant event for many names, C3, and I don't know who else, I think Sporks and whatnot. They're all going to do a dinner under the stars in the middle of the street. There's going to be music. We are going to ask for an alcohol waiver for that June 15th as well. And that's the last thing that, I have.
So I would assume they're gonna have tables and.
Everything's going to have tables set up. It's going to be really, really nice, weather permitting. Something totally, totally different that the Alliance has never done.
Well, something else the Alliance never does. How about a rain date? Would you have a rain date if weather does not permit?
For the dinner under the stars.
That sounds like a nice event.
We wanted to do that in May, but we couldn't, with everything that has happened from January, February on, we had to keep pushing it back until we finally got our, core group together to decide the final date and whatnot. So I will bring that up to them to have a rain date for
It'd be a
that.
shame to miss an opportunity like that.
So with that said, I will get that rain date. We have an Elkton Alliance meeting on Tuesday, so I will get that rain date immediately so I can get that to you, because it would need to be approved again for street closures for the rain date and alcohol.
So the dinner under the stars would be located where? In that section of North Street still?
Yes.
Okay. So I think the only thing that we could help support the merchants in downtown today would be to propose the alcohol waiver at this point for those dates.
They'll submit a letter to us formally requesting those dates.
Okay.
And times and locations. We'll prepare the forms to bring it back to the board, and the board can vote on it.
Perfect.
That's our process.
All right.
I mean, it can be done.
You'll have an opportunity here in a second. Anything else, Larry? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Jessica, you have something to add tonight? Come on down if you like.
So, did I hear correctly, we're trying to get an alcohol waiver for every first Friday starting in June? Okay. And my favorite word, downtown merchants. Are we including anyone else in that? Because they may not be on Main Street, but we are Elkton. We're still in Elkton.
And what are you asking for?
So I guess my question is how would that go for our permit to be down there? Because I have to get something from the state. Am I understanding correctly? I also have to submit something to the town? For me to do an off-premise permit, because I wouldn't be serving on my premises, I would have to be somewhere on the main street or wherever you're setting this up. I have to submit a permit for the state for them to approve that. So my understanding, I also have to submit a permit with the town?
I don't know what location you're talking about.
So if you're doing something on Main Street and being an Elkton Alliance Chamber member, if we set up on the Alliance front courtyard and had a jockey box serving beer for this outside alcohol permit, I have to get a permit from the state with my license. So am I understanding correctly, I also have to submit one to the town to be able to do that?
No, if you get your permission through the Elkton Alliance that you can be down onto Main Street during those events, then I would say you're just needing to get clearance with your in regards to your liquor license.
Okay. So when he said that you would have to submit something for alcohol, the night under the stars.
The Elkton Alliance will be submitting a request to the board requesting that it's open container
Okay,
on Main and North Street during those first Fridays.
okay,
But it's up to you to meet with the Elkton Alliance to see
Right.
if you can
okay.
put your business
Okay,
down on the...
I must have misunderstood Mr. George, because it was, when he said that you would have to submit something, but that's the alliance you're talking about.
Mr. Kraus had submitted a request for the board to grant a waiver. In order for that, we have to receive a formal letter requesting it, and it'll explain what the
Okay, so not,
circumstances are.
when you said the vendors, you didn't mean the actual people
We
serving?
have-
No, Sport would not, Sport would not, Minnehanes would not,
Okay.
North Street would not,
Okay, well,
and you would not,
Right, okay, that's what I
But
would have
you-
understood.
yes.
Because when he said vendors, I was like, wait a minute.
No, you would not. You would
Okay,
not.
okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Jess.
Mhm.
Anyone else have anything to say this evening? Seeing none, our board is going to have a closed meeting, and I'd like to have a motion to have a closed meeting to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of employees, and appointees or officials whom this public body has jurisdiction or other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals. And we're also going to talk about the consideration of acquisition of real estate property for a public purpose and matters related directly hereto. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Can you say that again?
Yes. And do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on our closed meeting? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we will not be reconvening. Thank you.